Hello everyone, so now that our zombie sauropod is done, it's time for some more ornithischian fun. To be more precise, we're going to be building a triceratops during this video and learning some fun facts along the way. Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well, and thank you for tuning into Moose Motion. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed the content, comment below what you think, share with your friends, and perhaps consider subscribing if you're new, and be sure you have your post notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the new content. Anyway, thank you for your support, it's highly appreciated. So during this video today, we'll be sculpting away till we have a skeleton of a triceratops, you could say. And along the way, we'll be using some armature wire, one could say, and then pairing that with some Sculpey oven-baked clay, which is what I like to make the bones out of, you could say. But as I sculpt away on this armature doll triceratops today, we'll be learning some fun facts about this dinosaur along the way. Triceratops was a genus of ornithischian dinosaur that lived in the late Cretaceous period, roaming the Earth 83.5 to 68 million years ago, or approximately when the non-avian dinosaurs went extinct. It should be noted that dinosaurs like Triceratops lived on this planet for hundreds of millions of years during an era called the Mesozoic. The Mesozoic era lasted 180 million years, and it began roughly 250 million years ago and ended 65 million years ago, the time of the mass extinction event, which ended the age of the reptiles. Triceratops was a large animal, 30 feet long or 9 meters, at 3.5 meters tall at the shoulders or 10 feet tall at the skull. An average weight was about 6 to 8 tons, although some estimates get as high as 12. To put this in perspective, essentially this thing was a little bit larger than an African bull elephant. It did have shorter legs in comparison to other dinosaurs to help this quadruped support all of that weight. And it was, well, generally a little closer to the ground than some of our sauropod friends, mainly because it, ate smaller plants. Its diet consisted mostly of conifers and ferns. However, it should be probably noted that this thing was rather strong, and if it wanted a, tree, it could easily knock it down. Definitely not a lot of things got in this thing's way in the underbrush of North America. Now, obviously, Triceratops is an herbivorous dinosaur, but interestingly, Triceratops had up to 800 teeth over the course of its lifetime. These teeth were arranged in groups of about 40 columns, with each column consisting of about 5 teeth that were constantly replaced. Now, that's a lot of teeth for a dinosaur. Now, it wasn't uncommon for a lot of herbivorous dinosaurs to have crazy numbers of teeth and replacing them every 3 months or so. To give you a comparison to other dinosaurs, most of your carnivorous dinosaurs, like Tyrannosaurus rex, for example, only had about 60 to 50 teeth and would replace them all in about 2 years, not 3 months. And seeing how we're on the topic of, its mouth, or dinosaur mouths, we should probably mention that it also had a parrot's-like beak at the front of its mouth to help with tough plant vegetation. And out of all the current dinosaurs that we know of, Triceratops was, the biggest culprit for teeth replacement. Now, aside from the shocking number of teeth, probably the most shocking fact that I actually learned about the Triceratops is, its name is kind of a lie. It doesn't actually have 3 horns, it only has 2. Now, considering its name, it translates to 3-horned face in Greek, I'm sure that comes as to a shock to a lot of people, probably not just me. I mean, don't let that fully disappoint you either. The Triceratops definitely had some massive horns. They were up to 4 feet long. And that is just the bone measurement. It's also thought that, these things probably had a keratin sheet on them, so they would have been even longer, wider, and sharper in real life. So that leaves us with the question of, what was at the tip of its nose then? It would have been a sharp peak at the end of its nose made out of keratin. Basically, your fingernails and your hair and what covered the actual horns themselves. Besides, that little stub probably wouldn't have been much use in a fight, but don't think it was at a disadvantage. Although it was herbivorous, that doesn't mean it was completely harmless. With its massive body and its massive horns, it could pretty much KO anything it wanted in a single goring. So the conclusion being, Triceratops is a dino no one definitely wanted to mess with. Besides being tough, it is considered to be among the most intelligent as well. The Triceratops skull was one of the largest in proportion to body size in comparison to other land animals. The largest known Triceratops fossil measures up to 8 feet and weighs up to half a ton. Because of the brain mass it can hold, it occupies an important place among the most intelligent dinosaurs. As you can tell, Triceratops had the brains and the bronze to fight great battles. The world's largest Triceratops fossil is known as Big John. At 23 feet and 5 inches long from snout to tail tip, Big John is known as the Guinness World Record holder for world's largest Triceratops. Big John's remains shed a lot more light on the epic fights that happen between Triceratopses. Just as animals today fight over territory or potential mates, apparently millions of years ago, many male Triceratopses, behaved in a similar fashion. In 2022, a team of paleontologists from Italy published evidence for this by studying Big John. Probably because his skeletal remains have, several large holes in the neck frill. And upon studying, they found these holes were gorings in the process of healing. In other words, Big John didn't die in battle, he just took a beating and sustained a war wound. Big John was sold at auction and is known as the most expensive Triceratops specimen, selling over $7 million US. On a quick little side note here, we'll be covering more on Big John in part 2 of this, series. So if you haven't already, and perhaps if you're new, be sure to subscribe, and if you're enjoying the content, be sure to smash that like button. Or comment below what you think of the project. And also, I should probably warn any of you who want to do a little bit more research on Big John, before you taint your search history like mine, be sure to type in Big John the Triceratops, because the first initial Big John thing is probably not going to get the results you want. Now we're going to talk a little bit about Titanoceratops. You'll be amazed just by looking at the fossils of these things. The Titanoceratops had an incredibly long, upward-pointing frill that could easily have been up to 8.7 feet long. This opposing dinosaur lived in the Cretaceous period 75 million years ago, what is now New Mexico. The discovery of this creature caused much controversy. On one hand, scientists assumed it was a close relative to Triceratops due to its skull features. However, others think the finding corresponds to an unusually large and old specimen of Pentoceratops. What is certain is that, with an estimated weight of 6.5 tons and a length of 22.3 feet, there was no animal that surpassed the magnificent Titanoceratops in North America at that time period. Now on to Horridus, the most complete Triceratops. Horridus is none other than the world's most complete Triceratops fossil ever found. It was named this because the remains correspond to 85% of a species of Triceratops known as Horridus, found on a Montana ranch in 2014. Scientists were surprised to find the head and spine were virtually intact. Currently, this specimen is on display in the Melbourne Museum in Australia. Too far away for ya? Then you can see it in all its splendor through the incredible 3D rendering on the museum's official website. And on a quick side note, when I found this detail out, I actually used that to, help this sculpture out. So yeah, be sure to go check it out. Now onto the rampant fossil market. The striking skulls and horns of the Triceratops aroused the ambitions of thousands of people around the world as luxury collector items, and the interest of treasure hunters. It's so common to find Triceratops remains in the Hell Creek Formation in the northern United States that many don't hesitate to dig up their properties, which would mean the loss and damage of large amounts of fossilized material. Although this is completely legal, academic paleontologists are greatly concerned, since any piece that has been traded or part of a private collection has completely lost its scientific value. Moreover, the craze for these fossils can lead to extreme situations, such as in 2008, a dinosaur fanatic bought a Triceratops named Cliff for $1 million and donated it to the Boston Museum of Science. Unfortunately, some unscrupulous fossil hunters tried to steal it and then sell the remains of this dinosaur. What do you think of this problem? Let me know in the comments below whether or not you think people generally have the rights to be collecting sort of dinosaur fossils such as this, or even digging them up privately in their own backyard, so to speak. I know those types of laws can drastically change on where you are technically from. I know here in Canada, things are kind of generally under the assumption that basically if it's a fossil, it is basically owned by the government as far as I know, so Depending on where you're from, the laws do change. As far as the dino black market goes, unfortunately, I don't really see that disappearing anytime soon, because there are some places where it's honestly quite prevalent, and that's where a lot of people make a lot of money. Spinosaurus is actually a very good example of that, because it's one of my favorite dinosaurs for one, but it's generally scavenged quite a lot, and you can find usually teeth for pretty cheap. But again, it generally kind of, well, renders the whole scientific process by a lot. In my honest opinion, I think people should be kind of allowed to collect fossils within reason. As long as there's no technical scientific value to be gained from the specimen, I think it's alright at that point. So as long as basically we've learned everything we can from it, then there's no need to be hoarding this necessarily in a scientific, well, collection at that point. The biggest issue paleontologists probably have with, say, fossil collecting / fossil black marketing is more or less they can't gain nearly as much research from it at that point, because it's either been removed from the ground and they can't find the original spot, as well as, well, there's been times where fossils have been heavily modified, and it's been a irritation to actually reverse the damage at that point. And the best known example of that I can think of is known as Irritator. So there's some homework for you, my dear viewers. Now it's time for the build rundown on this Triceratops skeleton. So during this video today, you could say we got the armature skeleton of this Triceratops all out of the way. And next time we'll be fleshing him all out with clay, you might say. However, the main focus today was the skeleton, obviously. That doesn't rhyme, but anyway, on a less poetic note, the materials used for this project are aluminum armature wire, Sculpey oven-baked clay, a little plasticine you could say, and some tin foil to help save weight, you might say. We also used a variety of different tools, a rake, a ball stylist, a rubber sculpting tool, and some plasticine knives, and, well, a scalpel as well, which can be quite dangerous, so if you're using one of those, be careful. Rule of thumb, always cut away from your hands. And one thing I should admit to my viewers here, I did actually break the frill on this thing, which kind of sucked. That definitely did set me behind schedule, unfortunately, as I think it was up till like 2 in the morning that night trying to fix that, which was just a lot of off-camera work. So be very careful if you're going to be making these attempts on a Triceratops, because that frill is very delicate, and I believe I got a warning from one of my followers. Speaking of which, a quick shout out to Dragonclaw for spotting Milton the Moose in the last how-to video. Any rate, I do also have some sad news here. So, unfortunately, yesterday I had to say farewell to a family friend, so also why I'm a little behind schedule, so rest in peace, Francois. You'll be greatly missed. And be sure to tune in next week, where I'll be adding clay to this Triceratops. Anyway, if you enjoyed the project, be sure to leave a like on this video, comment below what you think, share with your friends, and perhaps consider subscribing if you're new. Anyway, that's enough from me. Until next time, take it easy.